Hello and welcome to this morning edition. Not morning as in good morning, but morning because the Mets lost edition of Pop and Scott.
It's spelled differently.
I was saying I wasn't upset they lost last night. I was happy they got there. I was just more upset about execution. The hits we got in the second half of the season and so far in the playoffs, we didn't get against the Dodgers, and you have to score with the Dodgers. And we'll talk more about the World Series later, but we'll talk about these two playoff games first. I was watching the Mets and Dodgers, and the Mets just left too many men on base. They couldn't get the hit with 2 outs. I think McNeil is not a Major League Baseball player. Been saying that for about a year and a half now. He's still living on that 300 plus season record or season he had with batting record. He's a defensive liability. I rather had Iglesias in the game. I love the pickup of Winker with the fire, and he just loves that.
He did a good job.
And I think Iglesias did too. They brought something more to the team.
Yeah, and he's better than McNeil.
Yeah, and Squirrel is, you hate to say it because he's such a, he started with Pete Alonso. You kind of feel they're a duo, but a duo's no longer most likely. But that's for a later show. The Dodgers just hit. They hit top to bottom. Tommy Edman.
Well, even when the Mets beat them, they scored runs.
Right. They had to outscore them. Tommy Edman is incredible. I was laughing because he was batting fourth, and I don't know who else you would have batting fourth after watching the playoffs.
That's what did you see the interview of the manager in the dugout talking about Edmonds hitting fourth?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah. During the game, he was asked by Bowtie, what Rosenthal. He said, why you got him bit 6'1", 180? You got him batting fourth, and he said, watch him hit. He's been our best hitter in this series, and right after he said that, he hit the home run.
Right, he
two-run homer.
Yeah, and hats off to the Dodgers. They did what they were supposed to do. Won, and now. Talking about the Yankee series.
Well, the other thing the other thing is Manaea. He was tired. You could tell. You and I, we worked at the same place, and we used to work 12-hour shifts. You were there longer than 12 hours, and some 12-hour shifts were a whole lot worse than others as far as physical work. Mm-hmm. I've had 2 pack outs and a startup in one 12-hour shift, and when I got home, I could see straight. And the look on your face, I look in the mirror and I could tell I was tired. You could look at Manaea last night, watch him. He was laboring.
Right.
He couldn't get his breaking pitches over because he was laboring.
And when he gave up that home run to Tommy Edman, his body language was like, man, get me out of here. They just love to run, love the energy, love the not giving up, That's the stuff I look for. That's why I wasn't upset. Why be upset? They're playing the best they could. They just got outplayed. But like you said, you could tell when we had to go to our bullpen early, the game was over. Good grief. We brought in Diaz in the 4th inning last night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other thing I found really intriguing about that series, because I was rooting for the Mets. I used to be a Dodger fan when I was a kid, and I was a Dodger fan when they went to the West Coast because Duke Snider left and went to the Mets to play his last year or two. And then I was Sandy Koufax was my favorite. When he retired in 65 with arthritis, the West Coast that's it, forget it. And I started rooting for the Pirates then because of Roberto Clemente. But the one thing that intrigued me in that series was Ohtani. He's just
Steady Eddie.
He's different. He is a different breed of cat. The man was 2 for 24 with nobody on base. When people were on base, he was 16 for 18 or something ridiculous.
He's a dude, man. He is
he put 2 strikes on him and still figure out a way to get a base hit up the middle, or he just he's I'm old and I shouldn't wish my time away, but it's going to be kind of fun when next season starts and he's pitching.
When he's hitting, he's just a statue in that box, as still as he is until the pitch comes, and he just unloads. It was fun.
Watch his eyes. It
was fun to watch him play for 6 games or 5.
He doesn't blink. He doesn't blink. He just stares at that pitcher, and it's
and it's probably nerve-wracking to stand there and look at this big dude looking at you that just kills baseballs for.
Well, I would hate to be a pitcher and have either him or Judge in the batter's box. I would.
Or Soto.
Well,
or
yeah. I mean,
we'll get to that. We'll finish up the Dodgers.
The other person that picked his game up a little bit the last couple of games was Mookie Betts.
Yeah,
because he wasn't doing much. He wasn't doing much.
Game 2, he did well, and then after that, he started playing a little bit better. But where Mookie really helps too is he can play the outfield so well. I mean, Mookie's just a ball player.
Yeah, he's
going to help you somewhere.
Yeah, he's one of the best ball players,
right?
That's around, and the Red Sox will regret. They're going to regret letting him go, just like they regretted letting Ruth go. I mean, you just can't.
Well, they claimed they didn't have the money to keep him and Castellanos, and when Castellanos took his final year, that was it for Betts. But I mean, it's kind of that series. It was fun because at least the Dodgers hit. If you didn't care, it was hitting going on in that game. There's people on base all the time. There wasn't a lot of stealing. I was surprised to see that because Alvarez doesn't throw out people. But like me and you talked about at the house, I was at your house over the weekend watching a lot of sports, is, they don't want to take the bat out of the guy's hand at the plate because they'll just walk the guy at the plate to make forces again. Because what does it matter if you're going to pitch to Betts or Freeman at that point? Or Tarasco Hernandez, which I don't think he had a very good season.
No, he had one hit. He had one hit until yesterday, and he got 2 hits yesterday.
Right.
Because the fans in L.A. wanted to bench him for that last game, and the manager, to his credit, left him in there, and he got 2 hits.
Right.
Of course, the first one when he hit the ball, thought it was a home run, he hit the wall, and he only got a single. Woo! It's a good thing Edmonds picked him up.
Well, wasn't the guy in front of him like holding up to see if it was going to get caught?
Oh, yeah, but he still could have got the second. It was Ohtani. Ohtani was holding up, but when it hit the wall, Ohtani was on third when the ball got back to the infield.
Right.
He should have been on second base. I mean, you could tell the manager was hot.
Right.
But then Edmonds bailed him out.
And Edmonds is a special guy too.
And they got him with the Cardinals.
The Cardinals probably sitting there scratching their heads on that one.
Yeah. I look at all these teams that got these guys at the trade deadline, and the Orioles got a trash can and a fire hydrant. I mean, come on.
Oh, they make a trade with the Astros? Oh, I'm just joking.
Well, they might as well have. I mean, they traded for the Phillies, and they got 2 relievers, and they sent one of them down.
Right. And the Philly fans bitch about the player they got from Baltimore too,
because he was always hurt.
Right. So
yeah, we'll talk about the Phillies in a few minutes because I saw a big article on them online the other day. Okay. I like to go and look up some of the articles in the cities where they're coming from. These different, and there's some disgruntlement in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, I hear it every day. But let's go over to the Yankees series, which
the one I couldn't stay awake.
Yeah, well, me and you, some of my friends were like, did you watch? I was like, no, Georgia, Texas was on at the
I was watching Georgia, Texas.
We were watching Georgia, Texas game. We were flipping over seeing the score, but as much as we love baseball, it's a foregone
conclusion.
Right.
It was a foregone conclusion the Yankees were going to be in the World Series because all they had to do was play two teams out of the American League Central.
Right.
And they beat up on the American League Central all the time.
Right.
So they beat up on Kansas City and they beat up on Cleveland. I said it. Teams, They don't score. They do not score. They're in big ballparks. They pitch and play defense. They do not score. So when the Yankees scored 4 runs, games were over because the Cleveland wasn't going to score more than 2.
Well, that game, they were going back and forth on winning extra innings.
Yeah, well, that was that. Now I did see that. That was an exciting ball. That was a great ball.
Yeah, so that's baseball. I mean, that's what we love the game so much. But the one thing I did pick up from in the Yankees game is once Cole pitches, and even Cole's not guaranteed like the Garrett Cole of old every game, it kind of goes a little south on him really fast.
There again, the Yankees have 4 starters. 4 starters. They're not pitching bullpen games. They've got 4 starters. They got Cole, Rondon, Gil, and Schmidt, I believe is his name. They've got 4 starters. Now, are they world beaters every game? Are they Whitey Ford and Bob Turley? No, not every game. But you're liable to get a good game out of 2 of them. And if you get a good game out of 2 of them, that's 2 wins. Now you only need 2 more. See, that's where the Dodgers are at a disadvantage.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you.
Yamamoto. They got Yamamoto. They got Buehler who's back, and he looked good. You got Yamamoto who, okay. Then what have you got? You got a bullpen game, and you got Flaherty who's horrible. I mean, the guy is awful. I can't. He
looked good the first game against the Mets.
When he pitched the other day, he pitched like he did with the Orioles last year.
Right.
It was awful.
Right.
He had 91-mile-an-hour fastball. Can you see him throwing that to Judge?
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. I think as good as the Yankees power lineup is, I think the Dodgers are a better contact team.
They're a better hitting team. Yeah.
They go deep in counts. They make you pitch strikes. Yamamoto is going to have an issue with that. We were watching him pitch that one night against the Mets with that. It looks like the same pitch that Senga throws, the ghost fork or whatever they call it. That just dips down. The Dodgers players are going to be ready for that. They're going to lay off of it. I just wondering. I think this is going to be a very high scoring World Series. I don't think it's going to be a pitching dominated World Series.
When I was a kid watching the Yankees in the World Series, they always had high scoring World Series, and when they played the Dodgers, it was except for the deciding game in '55 where Johnny Padres threw a 2-hitter and they won 2-0 to beat the Yankees, and that was the only time the Dodgers ever won a World Series in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I got home from school and saw the last 2 innings.
Right. I feel like what I've watched so far in the playoffs is these teams. The Yankees, you can get ahead of them and they'll chase, and they got some holes in that lineup.
And they also their bullpen is a little. Their bullpen can be shaky, but the Dodgers bullpen is better than the Yankee bullpen.
Right.
But the Yankees got it all over them in starting pitching. Because they've got starters.
But I think the Dodgers, with their hitting and the way they get on base and the turmoil they can make on the base pass, man, they can come from behind a lot easier than the Yankees. Yankees need that one big swing every game. It feels like to me, but they got 3 guys in the middle that can deliver that.
Well, and
somebody else.
Stanton played a lot better this year than he has in the past, and he wasn't hurt as much.
He's healthy, right? That was the big thing. So. As much as
one of the longest home runs you and I've ever seen when we were in Washington,
and the highest. That ball, I thought it was going to go in orbit. It was like watching Major League when we were like, it's too high. What's too high mean?
It was ridiculous. I mean,
it was a moon.
He was with the Marlins, a young guy.
Yeah, that's when he was still Mike. Before he went to Giancarlo.
Yeah.
And that was with the Rays where we saw him do that. But man, like I really feel I think it's going to be a fun World Series.
Yeah,
I don't like either team, so I don't care. I can go to bed during it and don't really care if it's on too late. I have to get up.
I'm at an age now. I got to wake up to go to bed. I mean, it's just
I get up at 5:45 to go to bed, so I can't, and I have to get a certain amount of sleep, or I am just
you get up so early to go to work. So
yeah, if I don't get my beauty rest, man, it's
I get up, get something to eat, clean up, and then throw some clothes on, go to the mall, and walk a couple miles.
Right. But, I can always see highlights and everything the next day. That's what I've been doing in the playoffs. But, I'm excited to watch this. And I'm saying it's going to be a hitter's match and watch. It's going to have to be outscored, and it's going to probably be one of the lowest scoring World Series ever, be 1-0, 2-1. But I feel like it's going to be more of a 7-6, 8-9 games
I'd be honest, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. I'm usually a National League fan anyway, and I'm rooting for the Dodgers because I just don't like the Yankees. I like some of the players, but I just don't like them. I've never liked them ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan, so naturally I didn't like the Giants or the Yankees.
I just want to see good baseball. I mean, when Judge comes up or Soto or even Stanton or Ohtani, they come up. I kind of everything stops for me. Shoot, now with Tommy Edman comes up, he might be my favorite player for that's playing in this. I just I feel like there's going to be some good offense, and if somebody's pitching needs to rise, Garrett Cole is going to have 2 Garrett Cole Cy Young type of starts, I think, to get 2 wins.
I think the Yankees are going to win. The Yankees are going to win in 7.
You think it's going to go 7?
Yeah, I think it'll go 7, and the Yankees are going to win it.
I'm calling Dodgers in 6. So that's my prediction, and I would like to know what the over/under is on runs for each game. Well,
the Yankees will probably score more than the Giants, the football Giants. They'll probably score more.
Right. I was like, what? Yeah, that's probably going to happen. I just feel like, this World Series is going to be, if they want action, I think it's going to or packed.
And you've got some very good defensive players out there too, like
yes.
That Pache, or however you pronounce that, Pache.
Yeah.
That kid in center field, he can go get it for the Dodgers. And
well, so I mean, you got Chisholm, you got Rizzo is not a young man, but he still fields first very well. Will Smith's up for the Gold Glove for National League catchers.
Rizzo, I saw an article where Rizzo, if he doesn't stay with the Yankees, would like to go back to the Cubs and retire as a Cub.
I can imagine. I'm sure the Cubs fans will love that.
Oh, they'd love that.
Cubs will have him if at the right price. They could have, had the checkbook open and say, you fill it out. But I feel like the Yankees are going to do with Soto. But, you have anything to add for either the 2 playoff games or what we're going to see in the World Series?
Well, we'll talk about, I don't know. We made our predictions, and it just has to play itself out. A couple of things I would like to bring up is I saw where Shohei Ohtani is being called a Caitlin Clark of baseball because the ratings were up all over the place. The Dodgers, he's being paid $2 million a year. They gave him, a $700 million contract. With the Japanese television networks paying the Dodgers for televising the games in Japan, in 10 years, they're going to make all that money up. They'll make every bit of that plus what they're paying Yamamoto.
Right.
So, and they're talking about how much the ratings are up in baseball all across the board, especially in the and the people at Fox. I saw on Colin Cowherd's show today. He said the people upstairs, because his show's on Fox, FS1, he said are ecstatic. They're up there dancing because they've got
Well,
and they got Judge in the World Series.
Then why did they have it on FS1 last night when not everybody has FS1? There was a gentleman in my chat last night. He couldn't watch the game. He asked me why wasn't it on TV. I said it is on TV, FS1, and FS1's not basic cable, so they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean it's like I don't see any Thursday night football game for the last 2 years because it's on Amazon Prime.
I mean, this was a playoff game, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, they said
you're right.
They put one of the National Football League playoff games on streaming.
FS1's not streaming, so I got to give them that. It's most people do have it if you have a cable package that's outside of.
We don't have cable package. Believe me, I don't have basic cable. I have to pay a lot of money because I like to have the ACC network and the SEC network and stuff like that. And I watch MLB a lot. I don't watch the NFL network as much as I used to, but I watch the MLB a lot, and oddly enough, I watch the NHL network some because I love hockey. So I do that. But I mean, Shohei is paying for his contract, that's for sure. Now, I want to talk about Philadelphia a little bit. Philadelphia's got 5 players, I believe it is. They were talking about the Philadelphia stuff. They have 5 players, I believe, going into their 30s. Real Muto and Wheeler are 34 next year. Turner's 32, and a lot of the fans in Philadelphia don't think they're getting their money's worth out of him.
Yeah, they want him gone. Yeah,
and he's 32 years old. Harper's going into his 30s, and they've got about 5. Castellanos is 34. So, they're thinking about, is our window closing? That was what the article was about. How many more years have we got that we can do this and have a chance to go to the World Series, especially with what the Dodgers have done with their lineup. And, so there's a lot of hand wringing in Philadelphia, but as long as you got those pitchers, your 3 top starters, you're going to be.
I feel like they kind of ran out of gas. I brought it up at the beginning of the playoffs. These teams that are repeatedly making the playoffs, that's more games that they're adding to their pitching staff.
Yeah, in Philadelphia, this was the 3rd year.
Yeah, I feel like
Wheeler and Nola were pitching in their 3rd postseason.
Nola ran out of gas. Nola got blasted at the end of the season. Then he got blasted in the playoffs. I mean, you could kind of see it. He just ran out of gas.
Well, his fastball dropped 2 miles an hour.
Right. And I mean, when you pitch that, and I think that's what happened to the Astros. My boss at work was like, what do you think about the Astros? He's a Tigers fan. I go, well, the Astro pitchers have a lot of innings on those arms in the past.
Right, because they had so many hurt.
And also playoff games. It adds up. And we've talked about it before. My friend Ed Ruskagriff talks about all the time. Pitchers don't take days off. They soon as the season's over, they might go on a vacation or something with their family. But as soon as they get back, it's about adding that mile an hour to that fastball or getting more spin rotation on the slider.
Yep.
They're right back to work. And it's not like how it used to be.
Well,
that's why, we could keep talking about these guys throw 100% on every pitch. And in the 90s, they won't do it. That's why pitchers went longer.
No.
It's Houston so hard.
Third base coach.
What's that?
Houston let go to third base coach, Gary Pettis. He'd been with
Gary Pettis.
Yeah, he'd been with him for 10 years. He was 66 years old. I guess they want to get younger. I don't know.
I remember when he played.
Yeah, I do too. That tells you how old I am.
I was like, Gary Pettis.
And now, Posey's running the baseball operations for
the Giants.
Cisco Giants. They let go of their pitching coach, Brian Price. He resigned, theoretically. And the assistant pitching coach, J.P. Martinez, was elevated, and today they made him the pitching coach for 2025.
I would like to see Baltimore doing some internal stuff like that. Like, get rid of their strength and conditioning coach to somebody trying to change up something because all the strange injuries they have, especially to their pitchers, and maybe whoever is in charge of the pitchers, if it's not the pitching coach, because they have so many different people now that do things. Try to change it up because it just seems like there's weird injuries there. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I had that on my mind.
That's true. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Of course, Glasnow is going to be back for the Dodgers next year, and Clayton Kershaw has decided to give it one more year.
That's crazy to me.
Well, I mean, he likes to sit in the dugout with a sweatshirt on and watch the game. I mean, it's because that's
free tickets to travel.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. Kershaw might pitch tonight. Buy a ticket.
Yeah, like we talked about this Saturday, I think it was night. That this just feels like an ego thing from Kershaw. Like he feels like he's got that one more season or whatever. Kind of like Max Scherzer and
well, see, the difference between him and me is he thinks he has one more season as a pitcher. I just hope I have one more season as a human being.
No, you did good Saturday. My dad, Pops, walked around for hours.
So, I saw the same Mickey Mantle card at 4 different dealers, 2 or 3 of them in each dealer, and they wanted $13,000 a card. I'm going, if this card is so rare, how come I've seen 9 of them for the same price in 4 different places? I don't know. But I don't collect. The only thing I collect is wrinkles and liver spots. So that's. But anyway, you're the expert on that. Now, Rob Thompson, the manager, has been extended through 2026 for the Phillies for the job he did. He's an excellent manager.
Yeah,
I've heard him interviewed. Seems like a nice guy.
He seems like that, and he got his shit together. In Philly, what I'm hearing is they want a new GM because they didn't like the moves he's made the last 2 years in preseason, not to bolster either their bullpen or their bench. But they got their payroll. What do you do? They're not.
The bullpen was better this year than it was last year.
Yeah, they just kind of ran out of gas too. I think they used them so much.
Oh, and the other thing, I don't know whether you know it or not, but the Mets signed a Cuban prospect, a youngster, about 17 years old. Yoandry Gonzalez. He's 19, a pitcher. And they say he throws 92 to 93, and he's got a good breaking pitch. I saw on YouTube, I saw a short little thing of him showing him pitching, and looked like it was like in Shepherd Stadium or something, some small place, but it was regulation field, but it was just a small
right.
And he was pitching, and he looked good, and they've signed him. The other thing is the White Sox. Jerry Reinsdorf, who's 88 years old, is discussing selling the team. He knows they're not going to win again before he dies, so he's thinking about selling the team. And then
but they got a record this year. I mean,
he said something about moving to Florida, and I said, "You're an idiot. You're going to get hit by a hurricane. Stay in Chicago. Just turn up the heat."
It's just as windy.
Oh yeah. Well, he's 88. How much does he go out? Now, the big one is the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays lost the roof off their stadium.
And it won't be repaired.
It won't be repaired because the city of St. Petersburg has to pay for it. They're going to build a new stadium anyway, right next to door almost. They're going to build a new stadium. So they're not going to put the roof on it. They should tear it down because it's of no use.
Right.
Without a roof, they can't do anything because it's not set up to drain if it rains on it because they thought it was going to have a roof forever.
Right. So
they can't use the field because somebody said, why don't you just use the field? It's still a baseball. No, I can't do it. So where are they going to play? They've discussed playing in maybe some of the spring training facilities down in Florida, but then when it rains and all that, it's just terrible. So they'd have too many rainouts, they think. So they've discussed possibly sharing Miami's stadium, playing their home games from Miami's away, and doing that. And I figured that'd be a good idea because between two teams, they might get 10,000 people at the park. Now, the other thing is,
I was getting ready to say they can play at a minor league or at one of the practice facilities and might be able to get a sellout.
Well, the other thing is too, son, they were talking about going to Durham. That's their AAA farm team. Remember when Toronto played in Buffalo during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Well, the city of Durham said, nope, we like AAA. We don't want Major League here. So they said no. So that's
they've redone that stadium and everything. It's really nice there from my understanding. I got friends that go there.
The largest minor league stadium capacity-wise for a major league team is where they play the College World Series in Omaha.
Right.
And they're discussing maybe going there. They also some politician decided that it would be a good idea if they went to Toronto and played in Toronto when Toronto was out of town in that dome stadium. I suggested Montreal because I think Jari Park is still standing. They could go up and play in Montreal. Now, they've also talked about maybe playing in Puerto Rico or Oklahoma City. But all this is I've got a solution. East Sacramento. You would have a natural rivalry between the West Sacramento A's and the East Sacramento Rays. You could have games.
You might get, and when they played each other, you might get 8,000 people, I think.
Yeah, they have the Rays and the A's. I mean, in West Sacramento and East Sacramento, it's an easy fix. I mean, it's just.
I have a feeling they're going to play at a minor league park. They only need a.
Well, they
don't need a large stadium. They don't have that many fans.
They're also talking. They're also discussing maybe going to Charlotte.
Where the.
And what they wanted to do.
Where Charlotte, that's where the AAA White Sox play at.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of facilities they have in Raleigh, but I know Raleigh wants a major league team.
Raleigh?
Yeah.
Raleigh has they don't have a AAA team there. It is a who's playing there? I can't remember. I think it's a AA team in Raleigh.
Yeah, might be. I don't know. I know they don't play those Squirrels. They're not in that same league.
Well, then they don't have a AA team then, because they would definitely.
But anyway, they're discussing maybe going to Charlotte. So they're gonna have to find some place to play.
There's 1,000 stadiums up here in North Carolina. They could play. I know they want an 18,000 seat facility for that one for the first game, but after that, let's be realistic. They need 8,000 seats.
And there's another thing I want to bring up about the World Series. If I were the Dodgers, if I was the general manager of the Dodgers, I would call my manager into the office and we'd sit down and have a discussion. I would suggest that Freddie Freeman is not on the major league roster for this World Series.
For the ankle?
For you put a player on there that's got two legs. He's hitting 145 at the plate. He's having trouble swinging because that foot hurts so bad. When he hits the ball, he can't run. Mm-hmm. He has trouble covering first base because of his bad ankle. The last two games, he benched him and played Muncy at first base. I personally think, okay, put him on a roster. Yay. We might get another guy hitting a home run, limping around the bases.
Kirk Gibson, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
But as a practical matter, have a healthy player on the team. Even if of course he's not in Freddie Freeman's category. He can't hit like him. He can't field first base. He can't but maybe he can steal a base. Maybe he can pinch run in the 10th inning and steal a base. So he can do something. He can play. You can put him in the outfield as a defensive replacement. In the infield as a defensive replacement. But I mean, I don't know how bad he's hurt, but obviously it's not good. He didn't play the last two games, and the game he did play, the last game he played, I felt bad.
Yeah, he can't walk. He needs
between him and watching poor Nimmo out there in left field hobbling around going after fly balls. I mean, I give all these guys the credit in the world. They
Nemo out there cost them a couple of runs because he couldn't get to
couldn't get to the ball. They got extra bases.
Right. I was like, we have guys on the bench that can play better. And what's the difference in having a 210 hitter and a 225 hitter? I mean, I love Nemo. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad he plays on my team, but they could have what's his face they got from the Yankees center fielder and Taylor in the outfield, and no balls would have got down with them two and Marte. So, but yeah, I agree with Freddie Freeman. That move, it would be not popular on the surface, but it would make logical sense.
Well, I feel sorry for the Dodger manager because if he does it, no matter what he does, he's going to be criticized.
Right. And I mean, Freddie Freeman's such a leader on that team.
Oh yeah. And he's such
and he doesn't have many series he's left, but you got to feel this isn't your first run at this series, at the World Series. This team.
Oh, if the Dodgers get all their pitchers back next year and Ohtani's pitching,
or pick up one pitcher, yeah. Well, it's like getting a number one draft pick with Ohtani's a pitcher. I mean, you automatically have a Cy Young caliber guy in your rotation.
Yep. I mean, even if he pitches every 6 days, you got. Right. I mean, if you have him and Glass now, Buehler at his, pitching well, and you get some Mays and a few of those other guys back, that staff's going to be outstanding. But you just got to keep them healthy, which right. They got to work on that. But if you keep them healthy, you got a heck of a staff. You already got the lineup.
Right.
I would do anything. I would handcuff Edmonds to the locker because I wouldn't let him go anywhere.
Right.
Because that young man is.
I don't know what his status is for.
He plays center field and then he played shortstop.
Yeah. He's a guy. He's a dude as well. We talk about dudes. I mean, what's his name? Patrick, that used to be on ESPN, has his own radio show. He talks about dudes, and he's dude. I mean, there's dudes, and then there's guys that play the game, and he's a dude. Him, Ohtani, that team is full of dudes. Betts, Freddie Freeman. Freddie's the one of him, Goldsmith. He's in that overlooked category a lot when it comes to people in this game. But I have a feeling Freddie will probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No question.
He's led the league in doubles. I don't know how many years. So it's a category that people don't realize that he's done that. Gap hitter. So you're taking Yankees in 7. I'm taking the Dodgers in 6. That's a good talk show headline. We did very well with that without talking about it, where we're just as good as anybody on Fox Sports 1 or ESPN morning shows, debate shows.
I know.
Huh?
I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but some of the things they say, I don't know where to get it. I can't figure out what they're saying. I mean,
yeah, and I just want to say, I know a lot of WNBA fans watch this, probably not, but they had a great series. Caitlin Clark was out and bounced out early, and they still had great attendances and great viewership. That just shows you when people got to watch the other players, there's other players to watch as well. I went to a card show this weekend, which is not because me and my dad talk all sports. This is baseball, but I just want to touch on this. There's a lot of WNBA stuff there. People talking WNBA. We also, because I always want to talk. We got college football. I mean, college football is wide open with all the playoff spots, and the NIL, I think, has really opened it up, where all you got to have is a booster backing, and you can get some players.
You can lose a coach too.
You can lose some coaches as well, because they don't want to deal with it. So there is pros and cons, and NFL fully, hockey starting up. I think NBA starts another week or two.
I think it's next week. I think it's next week. The NBA. I don't watch the NBA. I like college basketball. NBA, it's too.
College starting up here soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanksgiving week
started week 4 last.
Right. I mean, the sports world is just thriving right now. We're back to, I feel like normal after post-COVID. We're back to some type of a normalcy.
Yeah, and with the contentious political atmosphere in this country, it's nice to lose yourself in the ball game.
Right. And that's exactly right. Leave the politics at the kitchen table and enjoy the games. So you got anything to hit us out with tonight, Dan?
Well, Yogi Berra was asked about some of the things he said. Did he really say them or what happened like that? And he said, I really didn't say everything I said. That's how he explained it.
Right.
That's Yogi.
So I just want to leave you with this. We got one series left. Hopefully it's 7 games to make a longer
Phillies
season.
fans, keep the faith, boys. Keep the faith.
Right. Enjoy it. We have some of the best players in the game playing, if not the best players right now. And if you enjoy baseball, watch the games. If you don't, casual, watch the games in the background. Have a second TV or something. Make sure you get to watch, because this might be some historic baseball this year, and you want to be part of it. So until next time, like, share, tell a friend. Welcome to my new subscribers. Subscribe if you haven't. Doesn't cost you anything. And me and Pop, we will see ya.